You are listening to the Aim to Win in Business and Life podcast with Tony Coleman-Brown, where we believe that in life, you're either winning or learning, but never losing. So let's get ready to win with Tony Coleman-Brown.
Greetings and hello. On today's episode of the Aim to Win in Business and Life podcast, you're going to learn how to set smarter goals. Not SMART goals, but smarter goals. So get ready to learn and get ready to win right now. So basically our agenda is, first what we're going to do is we're going to break down the SMART-E.R method. I know many of you in the past may have heard of SMART goals and how to set SMART goals, but tonight what we want to do is talk about how to set smarter goals. And we want to go over what the SMART-E.R method is, and we want to go over what the acronym stands for. And what I also want to go over is how to utilize this method this year and every year. So let's start with the S. The S stands for specific. And what that means is when you are creating your goals, you must be very specific about it. You can't create goals that are vague, that are pie in the sky, that no one understands. For example, if you are looking to get a new job, you want to be really clear about the type of job that you would like to have. You want to be very clear about where you want to work, what industry you would like to work in. You want to be very clear about that. If you're a person who is in business and you're looking to start a new business, you want to be very specific and clear about the type of business you want to start, when you want to start it, what the name of the business is going to be, what the brand is going to look like. As a matter of fact, you want to create all the elements that would be consistent with a business plan. A business plan allows you to be very specific and very targeted with what you want to do. And your goals are no different. You have to be specific. So I'll give you an example. Oftentimes people will say things like, I want to go to school, and it's just like, okay, or I want to go to college. Well, what college do you want to go to? Do you want to go to college in the north, in the south, in the east, on the west coast? Do you want to go to college to be a teacher? Do you want to go to school to be a nurse? You have to be very specific and clear. Just like in college, the first 2 years you can go undeclared, but at a certain point in time, once you become a junior, you have to declare what your major is. And that's the same way with a goal. You have to be very specific. You can't say, oh, I want to buy a house. Well, when do you want to buy that house? Where do you want to buy that house? Do you want to buy the house in New York? Do you want to buy the house in New Orleans? Do you want to buy a house in North Carolina? You have to be very specific about what it is that you want to do and when you want to do it, because otherwise, if you're not specific, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be all over the place. So for an example, some people, when they set goals, they'll say things like, oh, I want to lose some weight. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? Do you want to lose 1 pound, 5 pounds, 10 pounds? You have to be very specific when it comes down to setting your goals, because if you're not specific, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up all over the place, and unclear goals go unmet. Therefore, you always want to be very clear about what you want to do. And one of the things I want you to do tonight is write down one goal that you would like to accomplish, and I want you to be very specific about it. Be very clear with what you want, and you want to write it down, because when you write goals down, it's almost like cementing them in stone. You want to be that type of person where you can always look around, look around your house, look around your desk, look around your office, and you want to see your vision very clear. Even in the Bible, it says, write down your vision and make it plain. And that's because you want to be clear about what you want. And when you're very clear about what you want, you will definitely get what you want. And I hope that makes sense to you. So the M. In the old traditional SMART method, the M stands for measurable. But in this new method and new model, the M stands for meaningful. Your goals have to mean something to you. It's just not good enough to create a goal that's kind of like a pie in the sky that doesn't mean anything. And, your goal is almost like your why. You want to ask yourself, why is it that you want to accomplish what it is that you're seeking to accomplish? When we talk about our why, we almost say that your why has to make you cry, because what happens is a lot of times people set goals and they're very surface goals. And that's one of the things that I think that a lot of us are guilty of. And what I mean by surface goals, I mean that we say things and sometimes we do things just because it's the right thing to do or it's the right thing to say because everybody is doing it and everybody is saying it. People will write a goal and they'll say, oh, I want to be financially free. Or they'll say, oh, I want to be debt free. But yet they don't know why they want to be debt free. And I think that because people tend to set goals that are surface goals that don't really touch the heart and soul and core of who they are, they're not meaningful, they're not connected to their why. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't achieve their goals. It's because it's not connected to your heart. And when we say that your why have to, make you cry, it means that your why is connected to your heart. And that's why you guys, many of you may have heard the story before where they say, if somebody were to capture your kids, your family, your mom or your dad, and say that you have 24 hours to raise $1 million or your children will die. Well, if somebody told that to you, then I think that you would be very motivated to raise $1 million because it would mean something for you. And I believe that a lot of times why people do not achieve their goals is because they're setting goals that don't mean anything to them. They're not meaningful. They don't touch their heart. They don't touch their spirit. And because it doesn't touch your heart or your spirit, what tends to happen is you just really don't care. You're not attached to it. You're detached. And sometimes people will say, oh, it's coming across as not real, fake, or phony, or something like that. But your goals have to be meaningful. They have to mean something to you. You have to really know why you want to accomplish what it is you're seeking to accomplish. Otherwise, I don't think it'll ever really happen for you. That's one of the things that I've been toying about lately. I've been really thinking and toiling over the whole idea of creating goals and setting goals that are meaningful, but also I've been toiling over the idea of why is it that people will set goals, accomplish goals, but then bounce back to right where they were. So I'll give you an example of this. I've often asked myself, why is it that people, I'm sorry, I put the thing on loud. I'm sorry about that. I keep doing the same thing. And it's on my phone. It's starting to play back. But anyway, I've been toiling with this idea of why is it that people bounce back? And what I was about to say is that oftentimes people will pay off all their bills, become completely debt-free, and then all of a sudden they run their bills back up again. And I often ask myself, why is it that people do that? It's almost like when people win the lottery or they win a lot of money, and what happens is they have all of the money, but then they lose all of the money or they spend all of the money and they end up broke again. Why is it that people keep bouncing back? So oftentimes they achieve their dreams, but then they bounce right back to where they were before. And I've been toiling around with that. And I think that it has everything to do with this concept of your goal being meaningful to you. A lot of times we believe that money will buy us happiness, money will buy us all of the things that we're looking for. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't mean anything, then you're not prone to keep it, and you're not prone to really live in that place and that space. So tonight I'm going to ask you, what does achieving your goal mean to you? And why is it that you want to achieve your specific goal? So ask yourself that and answer that question. And let's move on to the A. The A stands for achievable. And what that means is that your goals must be realistic. They have to be achievable. A lot of times people will say, well, shoot for the moon. And if you land on the stars, you've still done a great and noble thing. Well, I have to tell you that that's not always the best way. That's not always the best way to be. That's not always the best thing to do. Shooting for the moon and landing on the stars is sometimes a recipe for disaster, because sometimes what happens when you do that is you overshoot. You set yourself up for disappointment, because if you create a goal that's not achievable and not realistic, then 9 times out of 10 you probably won't achieve it. And that's not setting yourself up for anything great. So make your goals achievable. You want to make sure that your goals don't require you to be the bionic woman or the bionic man to accomplish them. So you want to, be yourself, be who you are, make your goals achievable and realistic. So tonight I want to ask you to write down your goal and to write it in a way that it is achievable. And then we'll move on to the R. The R in S.M.A.R.T.E.R, the first R, because there are 2 R's in S.M.A.R.T.E.R, but the first R stands for relevant. And that means, are your goals relevant? And for us, that means, are your goals in alignment with who you are as a person? And what that means is that your goals have to be connected to your core values. They have to be connected to who you are as an individual. And if they're not, because what I think happens in life is sometimes when we are, creating goals and setting goals, we're setting goals not for ourselves, but we're setting goals really for somebody else. And when they're not aligned and relevant with who we are as a person, then we can't connect to them. And what ends up happening is when you cannot connect to your goals, you can't accomplish it. You get frustrated and you will quit. And we don't want to quit on our goals. We don't want you to get frustrated with your goals. We want you to achieve them. So you have to ask yourself every time you are writing a goal, is your goal in alignment with who you are? And if it's not, then maybe it's time for you to rethink what it is you thought that you wanted to do. So the R stands for relevant. And the T in S.M.A.R.T.E.R stands for time bound. And what that means is that you must set your goals in a way that you give them an end date. Because if you don't give your goals an end date, what's going to happen is you're going to end up in never, never land. And what I mean by that is that you never, 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 ever going to accomplish that goal if you don't put a date on it, okay? So you have to give your goals a due date. And a lot of times people end up being very successful when they give their weight loss goals a due date. So for example, if somebody knows they're going to prom, or you're going to take a trip somewhere, oftentimes people get serious real fast in a hurry when they know that they have a deadline. So give yourself a deadline for what it is you want to accomplish and work every day to make it happen. So tonight, one of the things you want to do is put a date on your goal so that you can accomplish it. Then the E. The E stands for evaluate. So we're beyond SMART. So we're beyond SMART goals. We're in the SMARTER section of the SMARTER goals acronym. And this is the E. The E is really important because evaluating your goal means that you're measuring it. And what we all know that what gets measured gets done. Therefore, you want to make sure that you take time to evaluate where you are, measure it. And for some people, if you are seeking to lose weight, one of the things you might want to do is count your calories or use a food diary. Now, when you're using a food diary, what that means is every day you are writing down what you eat. And trust me, if you write down what you eat every day, you will have great results because you are evaluating on a daily basis your consumption. And it's the same way with exercise. It's the same way with building a website, starting a business, getting on your way to a new career, whatever it is you want to do. You have to evaluate it and you have to put in a system or you have to put a system in place where you are evaluating your goals on a daily basis. And I know some people will say that, especially when you're trying to lose weight, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get on a scale every day, but you have to evaluate what you're doing every day. And I remember one time when I was a part of Weight Watchers, and Weight Watchers has some really good tools. And one of the tools for success is food journaling. And one of the tools for success in anything that you do in life really and truly is keeping a journal. Because if you keep a journal every day, you're writing down all of the things you can do. It will allow you to evaluate how, all the activities that you did to move you closer and closer to what it is you want to accomplish, closer and closer to your goal. So set up a system where you evaluate what it is that you're doing each and every day. And that's one of the things that you want to do with this SMARTER goal system. And finally, we're down to the R. The R stands for simply readjust. One of the things that I often say is that you have to assess and adjust in life. You have to take assessments and make adjustments. So with your goals, you have to readjust them. And what that means is once you evaluate where you are, once you make that assessment, then you want to make the adjustment. And it doesn't mean that, oh, I have to quit. No, it doesn't mean quit or stop. Well, in some cases, it might mean quit or stop. It might mean quit or stop doing the things that are not working so that you can start doing the things that are working, but it doesn't mean to give up on your goal. I just want to be clear about that. I also believe that in life, you're never losing, you're always learning. So when you are making those evaluations, those assessments, and those adjustments, what that means is you are looking at what is not going right and you're taking those lessons learned and you're moving on to trying things that will work. And it doesn't mean that you give up. It means that you have to sometimes take a new road, sometimes travel a new route, but you definitely want to work towards getting it done. So that's where the readjustment comes into play. And the best way to prepare for any adjustments that you might have to make in your goals is to list out all the obstacles that you think will come into play in advance. And once you list them out, you can make plans for dealing with them. So that's what the readjustment is all about. And then finally, what I want to say to you is, please don't try to accomplish too much at once, because when you really try to overachieve, all it ends up doing is putting you in a state of overwhelm. And also, I want you to be easy on yourself. And I want you to understand that a good day always begins the day before. So set out the plans the night before. Put 3 to 5 things on your list every day. What 3 to 5 things are you going to do that's going to help you move closer towards getting what you want? And that is accomplishing your goals. Do that every night. And then every day at the end of the day, look at those 3 to 5 things and see what you've done. Because sometimes it may mean that you have to just keep kicking things down the road until you can make it happen. But be easy on yourself. And finally, give yourself small rewards for every small win. You know, at the end of every month and at the end of every week, a lot of us like to take time out to look at all of the things we didn't accomplish, but we never give ourselves credit for all of the things that we did accomplish. I want you guys to really stop that and be easy on yourself and congratulate yourself for the things that you did right. Because I promise you, on a regular basis, you do more things right, far more things right than you ever do wrong. So I want you to understand that you need to make sure that you are rewarding yourself for all of the things that you do right. And keep your mind on the positive side of your goal and not on the negative side, because oftentimes we think, oh, I'm never going to accomplish that. And that's setting yourself up for failure, because that negative self-thought is and negative self-talk is what's really keeping you from accomplishing all of the things that you want to accomplish. So stay on the positive side of your goals and reward yourself when you accomplish things, because you're closer to your goals than you think. I think it was the Olson guy. I can't remember his first name. It might be Jeff. It might be Steve. But he wrote a book called 3 Feet from Goal. 3 feet from, not goal, G-O-A-L, but 3 feet from gold, G-O-L-D. And in the book, one of the things he talked about was how most people stop when they're almost there. And, there's a meme or a cartoon out there that shows this guy who's mining for gold. He's digging. And then he gets tired and he turns around and goes in the other direction. And he doesn't realize that he's this close. Not even this close, but this close, like right there. His feet are probably touching the finish line, but he decides to stop 3 feet from accomplishing exactly what he wanted to accomplish. So I want to encourage you tonight, do not quit. Do not give up. Don't ever say you can't do it. Just say, okay, this didn't work, and try again. And, and take assessments and adjustments, because oftentimes too, what happens with a lot of us is we find all of the things that do work and we start doing things that work, and then we stop doing the things that work because we get successful and we get the results and we begin to get scared of the success. So don't get scared of the success. Keep going. Don't fear failure and stop. So what you want to do is just keep pressing towards the mark, reward yourselves for all of your small wins, and believe in yourself. Because if nobody doesn't believe in you, then, you have to be the one to believe in yourself. And at the end of the day, if it must be, it's up to me. So if it must be, it's up to you. So I want to encourage you to keep going. Because like, I was saying, you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in you, then nobody else will, right? And we have to believe in ourselves when other people do not. So I want to encourage you with that to, keep going, utilize this SMART-E.R method. Thank you so much for listening. Just wanted to come on to talk to you about the SMART-E.R method. I am, very excited about what we covered tonight. I'm glad that you took the opportunity to listen in. I want to just say thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to today's broadcast. I hope you now understand how to create smarter goals and how this can make a difference in your business and in your life. Also, make sure to check out this year's Small Business Bootcamp for Women. It is taking place October 20th at the Radisson in New Rochelle. It is going to be a fabulous event. We have an awesome lineup prepared for you. You will want to be there for the world's premier sales and marketing conference, the 7th annual Small Business Bootcamp for Women, taking place this year once again, October 20th at the Radisson, New Rochelle. You do not want to miss it. So head over to www.smallbusinessbootcampforwomen and secure your seat today.
Thank you for listening to the Aim to Win in Business and Life podcast with Tony Coleman-Brown. Please visit TonyColemanBrown.com for more information on this episode and get ready to win.